Hello, folks! Viewer's Choice has been revived courtesy of our awesome viewer, Rubbishy Username. All hail him for reviving this segment and giving us our very first Viewer's Choice of the season. Or rather, this data pack, Democracy and Dogma. So basically, we were talking about the possibility of turntable in GEIST. I expressed my doubts that with criminals so starved for influence, you surely cannot afford to play turntable, even though it's appealing, because turntable shores up GEIST's weakness of lousy early game due to the disposable breakers, thereby meaning that you have to let go of early Niseis and Astros. So here's his deck list, and he allowed me to make as many changes as I please. Turns out, he did live up to his name. Rubbishy Username is pretty rubbishy at constructing decks. For starters, the best blue card in the game, Account Siphon. He only runs 2 copies of it. What a scrub. Not to mention, Special Order. Why you play this card? Tutors are for noobs. I mean, look at all your Anarch decks. You don't need tutors. Well, I'm kind of exaggerating, but with so much breaker redundancy, you have 4 of each subtype of breaker. 4 decoders, 4 fractors, and a lot more in the way of sentry breakers. You do not really need special orders. I'm gonna only have 1 copy of special order just to fetch the fixed breaker if I so need it. And that extra card, the second card will go to a 3rd Account Siphon, because why wouldn't you play 3 Account Siphons? And Polop is trendy, so of course we must play 2 copies of it. 1 is just not enough. So I removed 1 Crescentus and made an increased number of Polops to 2. And that's actually all the changes I've made. It's not a lot actually. Most of the deck is still the same. I actually agree with this deck for the most part. So I was just joking. Rubbish Username, this is a good deck. Well done. All my tweaks were very minor. I didn't need to include any new cards or change the influence spread. Everything was pretty fine. Really, the only tweaks I made were minor changes to the quantity of each card. So that's fine. Now, that being said, is it a good deck? Probably not. In the darker color, the dark red, I've highlighted cards that I think are the weak points of this deck. Weak points not because they are weak cards, but because there are too few of them to ensure any sort of consistency. And that's a hallmark of a tier 1 or tier 1.5 or a good deck. You need to have redundancy in your deck. There's a reason why triple Scorched Earth decks just don't do very well nowadays, and it's not just because of the prevalence of I've had worse. Consistency is a very important hallmark of any good deck. And with only 1 R&D digging card, you're probably not going to make it very far if that's at the bottom of your deck. Global Sec could just be worse, because if both of your Global Secs are idling at the bottom of your deck, you can't really make any headway, because you can only have 4 breakers out at once at maximum, which limits your options when you're trying to break past high strength ice of your opponents. Card draw is also a weakness of this deck. Through my admittedly limited experience of playing with GEIST, even though his idea is pure card draw, he still suffers from not having enough card draw, because your cards only replenish themselves. They don't increase the amount of card draw you get. 3 Street Peddlers don't really accelerate your card draw, along with the 4 guys, don't really accelerate your card draw as much as you usually would like. So I think those are the weaknesses I've identified, and we'll see if that's the case when we are up against Harpsichord today. Well, Harpsichord is going to be a somewhat iffy matchup. Thankfully, I didn't remove the 1 single plus grid from the deck, so at least we have that to rely on. And with the turntables, we should hopefully be able to spring a nasty surprise on the opponent when they try to 24/7 us with a breaking news or try to get an Astro Chain going. So now, HQ is wide open. He disrespected the threat of Account Siphon. Even with 3 Account Siphons in my deck, I still don't see it early, which is kind of sad because this would be a very perfect time to siphon him to the ground. But he's pretty rich, he's on 22 credits, so you can almost guarantee yourself that he has a mid-seasons in hand, and anytime I decide to run from now on, I'm going to be in a lot of trouble. I draw into a very important card. Employee Strike disables his ID. If I can lure him into discarding all his agendas, I can snipe his Jackson with Polop, and perhaps get a good haul with with Employee Strike. We'll see if that comes into play. So I'm going to hold on to the Employee Strike for now, keep it a surprise. In the meantime, he scores a Bill. I knew that was an agenda. It was probably an Astro. I couldn't contest it because, well, obviously, I was going to get mid-season. So we can't have that. I also accessed a Traffic Accident from his hand earlier on the Polop HQ run, which kind of confirms he's running kill. I do not know if he's running the full kill package or if he's dropping one Scorched Earth for Astros. So you still have to respect the threat of Astro. Now that I've drawn my Plascrete, I can more safely run his remote. I know that there's no chance in me winning the credit war. And with no film critics in this deck, I know that I was not going to avoid the mid-seasons. It was only a matter of how long could I delay it for. So I gave up, I caved in, I got the profiteering, and I expected a full mid-seasons. With only one credit, I can't get very far. This is a big problem with GEIST. Sure, most corps aren't going to give you time to set up, but I don't think I could afford to let him get another possibly 2-pointer out against me. Especially if there's a breaking news that will be doubly bad. I couldn't afford to, dodo on the game. So I decided to go for his agenda. I got the agenda, but now I'm tech flooded to eternity. And this is pretty bad for GEIST. GEIST is very reliant on his resources. And it's horrible if you're running access to global sec instead of forger, because now you could possibly play the rest of the game with no link. So your cloud breakers are going to be of very limited effectiveness. That is something I'm keeping in mind as well. Tech traders are not going to be around for your money, so you're going to be perpetually poor the entire game. So a lot of the rest of this game that you're going to watch is going to be rather irrelevant, because basically a lot of what I intend to do as GEIST, which is drawing up lots of cards and getting tech trader money, getting tech writer money, all of that is going down the drain with my tech flooded self. And this is a big problem when you're not running Film Critic. So being a connection and being at one influence, I think it's probably a good idea to include Film Critic in your GEIST decks, even though it's not tutorable. Well, you can play Hostage. Yeah. Not only does it protect against mid-seasons, which is always an option for NBN decks, more importantly, it's also very good against Jinteki. And there's lots of Palana and IG running about nowadays. You can't really go wrong with Film Critic. In retrospect, I should have put a Film Critic in. Possibly in place of the Employee Strike, or the third Peddler. So that's something that I definitely took away from this game. Film Critic in GEIST is pretty good because you probably do want to run Hostage in GEIST, and if you're running off campus, all the more better that you have Film Critic around. So yes, definitely something that I've learned. But the game goes on, and I'm gonna play the rest of the game flooded, and with the threat of psychographics, because this is not just a kill deck, it's a psycho deck. He cycles an Exploder Palooza, which is very telling. This means there are no Bios or Astros in his hand, so it's not a very good time to legwork. So let's try to get something else done instead. The Peddler hits the table, and I know I have to respect the fact that it can be trashed anytime. I hope that now, by running R&D, I can force him to rest the wrap round that I saw earlier during my R&D access. This brings him down to 1 credit, which means that he's very unlikely to take 2 credits and trash my Peddler next turn. I don't want him to trash my Peddler because there's an R&D interface on it that he doesn't know, so of course he doesn't trash the Peddler yet. He will trash it later, as he did with my Tech Trader and my Tech Writer, denying me a lot of money. Now I'm going to make the R&D run with enough money to break the ice and get the R&D eye out. So now I can access 2 cards per R&D run, making it a lot more viable. So you see, this is a problem. If my R&D eye did appear on the Peddler there, I wouldn't be getting good R&D runs now. R&D wouldn't be an option. It's going to be a lot harder to win the game. Having only 1 card in your entire deck that helps with R&D access, multi-access, and it's not a very good one at that. R&D eye is fine. It doubles your accesses, but it's no medium, not a keyhole either. So yeah, unfortunate that. Well, another card hits the table. He knows I'm going to be tech flooded, so I'm guessing that's probably a quantum predictive model. All new Steam. Either way, I don't want to hit that, so let's not waste time on that. Let's go for R&D instead. For 2 accesses, and I get to use a couple of my cloud breakers as well. Let's see what we get here. Mid-seasons and lab breaking news. That's mine. Very good. I'm up to 2 points. He's up to 4. That turntable has been in my hand since the very beginning. Maybe I should be using it. And yes, if I were to use it right now, we would actually be tied on points. So I really should be installing it as soon as I can. But right now, all my income is coming from clicking for credits. There's no other way this deck makes money, except for Fall Guys, which I haven't drawn into yet. So money is coming very slowly, and it's not easy raking up the money for constant R&D runs, so that's why I couldn't find the space to play turntable yet. I'll definitely consider it once he scores a big agenda, like a big Bill or an Astro. For now, I'm happy with single agendas without turntabling because he's not a match point yet. Sure, he could cycle a Bew, but clearly he hasn't drawn into a Bew yet, and as long as I keep his R&D locked, I should be safe from his win. Now, there is another way he can win, and that's by flatline. However, with my R&D lock so far, I know that he's not going to see any kill cards anytime soon. And yeah, he needs double scorch and traffic to kill me, and he has just enough money to do that. So I'm hoping he doesn't draw into it right now, and I install my spike. It would be a very good idea if he were to trash my access to global sec now, but clearly he's doing something else. He's drawing up for his kill, and he then plays a traffic accident, which will not kill me. So at this point, what I'm guessing is that he has abandoned the kill plan entirely, and is playing the traffic accident just to slightly slow me down. It did hit my employee strike, which was slightly annoying. There goes the surprise that I've been holding my hand for the entire game. And it hits a legwork, which turns out to be irrelevant because I do draw into another one. I still don't think this is a good time to legwork him because I figured that he would be scoring agendas now if he could. Okay, so Siphon was very important. He was once rich no more, he is, and he's out of kill range as well. No money for double scorched. He's also out of big Bew range. Psychographics won't do much here. He double installs. Those are probably two agendas. I'm going to fetch one of them. I do not have a film critic to fetch the second one, but what I can do is to use my other account Siphon to stop him from scoring the other one. This allows me to steal the other one the next time I get a chance. I have the turntable installed, but I completely forgot to turntable the profiteering I just accessed. I really should have done that. That is a big mistake. I definitely should be turntabling the profiteering over, but I forgot in my case, and well, I'm going to pay for it. I find 15 minutes, and that's definitely going to get turntable this time around. So all of a sudden, I'm up to 6 points. The game is almost in my hands. I just need to find one more agenda, and I am good to go. That 15 minutes. Man, turntable is so good. It's so good, isn't it? A normal GEIST would have nothing to do with the 15 minutes because it'll get shuffled in immediately. But now that 15 minutes is worth 2 points to me because I just swapped it for a Bew. Well, now what do I do? A resistor on R&D looks pretty unpassable because I don't run David until you realize that I have 2 link. You really should have trashed the access to global sec. I let him fire the trace. 2, he doesn't pump it, so I get to get through the server with just enough money to spare. Don't need to spend any money on the Enigma because I have 2 Cloud Breakers for the decoder. So I'm gonna see 2 cards here. Scorched Earth! Ooh, okay, dangerous card. And a Jackson to draw him to more stuff. Not good. Okay, so the only thing that's keeping me safe right now is the fact that he has already used 1 traffic accident and that he has no money, which is now not the case because he just played a hedge fund. So the next thing I'm gonna do is to play my Peddler. If he has single traffic double scorched in hand, he cannot kill me this turn because I can fire the Peddler to draw me up to 1 card, putting me at 10 hit points, which is the safety region against double scorched single traffic. So that was the point of playing the Peddler. At this point, there's no point in me playing the Peddler because I have all the cards I need. I just need to keep whacking R&D for the win. So he does trash my Peddler, so right now I have 1 turn to live basically, because if he trashes my Peddler, it probably means he's trying to go for the kill, but he can't because I have too many cards that keep me safe against the kill. So first I check Archives, which has quite a few face down cards. Surprisingly, no news teams. Now I go for the legwork. He must be hoarding agendas by this point. Let's see what's in his hand. I access Scorched Earth, Psychographics, and Jackson. So this basically tells me that he has no agendas in hand because he would have otherwise cycled them. And right now, apparently he has drawn the win. He top decked the Bew, cycled for 7 credits, and that gives him the 4 points he needs to win the game. Had I turntabled the profiteering, if I remember to do so, I would have won the game, because I would be on 7 points. And alas, that wasn't the case, and he managed to pull out the win instead. So what are the weak points of this GEIST deck? Sure, mid-seasons is an obvious one by watching this game. But you realize that the Cloud Breakers were just as useless. Think about it. There are 9 cards dedicated to breaking ice in the deck. That's like a fifth of your deck, 20% of your deck nullified because of mid-seasons. With Tech Traders gone, the Cloud Breakers just don't do that much. Most of my game was spent with Corroder and Passport doing all the heavy lifting. The spikes and crowbars. Sure, the critical mass of crowbars allowed me to safely face check against toll booths and archangels. That's about it. The amount of time it took me to set up all of that I don't think it's very worth it. And with decks going more and more horizontal these days and running fewer ice, I just don't think Cloud Breakers are the way to go nowadays. They are just awful. And the very fact that I needed to run access to Global Sec, a horrible, very narrow use card, just to make the Cloud Breakers work, adding bad cards to your deck, that just isn't good. So, I don't think we should play Cloud Breakers. Then that begs the question, why even play Geist? Do there exist a critical mass of trashable cards in the current card pool to warrant playing Geist? And I think there is. If you go back to the comment that Rubbishy User made earlier, the fact that he didn't run Spy Camera in his deck because there isn't enough deck slots. Well, if you don't run the Cloud Breakers, you now have deck slots for Spy Camera, and that frees up influence that you would spend on R&DI. In theory, of course. Maybe you do want R&DI after all. But the fact is, 6 Spy Cameras gives you a lot of trash ability. And that can power Geist. And that is something I'm going to explore in the near future, so look out for videos for that coming up soon. I'll be playing with Spy Camera and ditching the entire Cloudbreaker suite and see how that goes. Join me next time. In the meantime, thanks for watching and happy net running as usual. Goodbye.